Hey guys, Dev with Crime Hive, back with another episode, and we're back to the lorivallow case, and we're continuing on with the red flags that are pointed out in the affidavit. And I'm giving my perspective of the case throughout these red flags. And again, before I get started, subscribe to my videos if you like these kind of videos. And I'm also on Instagram at Crime Hive Now if you guys are on social media. Anyway, let's get started with these red flags. Another good video here, and we're gonna trudge through these red flags and continue on. Remember, there is part one. If you guys are seeing this for the first time, go to part one of the red flags, and then this is going to be part 2 of 2. So let's get started here with these flags. So the first one I want to talk about in the affidavit is in number 24, the neighbors do not see Tylee. So if we go over to the affidavit here and we look here, we know that Tylee basically arrived in Rexburg, Idaho around September 1st or 2nd, 2019. She moves there. Neighbors see her. They see her actually a few times after she moves in, and then all of a sudden, they don't see her again after the first couple weeks of September. She's just nowhere to be found. And so that is a huge red flag. And along those same lines, the next red flag I want to talk about is with JJ. Now, there was a neighbor's son that played with JJ multiple times, and he basically informed detectives that he went over to play with JJ sometime in late September, and he knocked on the door, and Lori Vallow told him that he was not there and that he was staying with his grandma. And so, another red flag, another lie by Lori, by the way. She just continues to stack these lies. We just keep catching her in these small lies, and it's just a sign of guilt. So what do you guys think about that? Next red flag that we're going to talk about. So we just covered those two. So that's number 15 and 16. Red flag number 17, the Yellowstone trip. So we're talking about the Yellowstone trip here. We know that Tylee and JJ show up to Yellowstone Park. There's pictures. This September 8th, 2019 is the last time we ever hear from Tylee. It's the last time we see Tylee. And of course, Alex Cox is in that photo. This Lori's brother. There's speculation that he may be involved in potentially killing Tylee. We don't know. We still don't know if they're missing or if they're killed. It's been some time now. We hope that they're obviously safe. But I can tell you, I did another video on Yellowstone, and there was a theory that, there's a ton of hot pools, and there's a theory that if Lori and Chad took the children there, it's possible that the children could have been killed in these lava pools or buried somewhere in this massive park. I mean, it is massive. So that's the next red flag that I wanted to mention there with the Yellowstone trip. And then just so you guys know, again, just because I show these as well, it talks about that trip here in the affidavit as well. And again, remind me, I'm probably going to provide this there's several links where you can find the affidavit. And if you guys want to download that and see that for yourself, I'll see if I can provide a few links in the description of this video. And because I know a few of you guys have reached out personally to ask for that information. So thank you for your comments, by the way, on that. And so moving along here with the next red flag that we're going to talk about is number 18, red flag 18. This is number 27 in the affidavit. We're talking about the trip that Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell took to Hawaii. Now, there's evidence that they flew to Kauai. This is December 1st, 2019. There is no evidence that they returned, first of all, to the mainland. Okay, so that's important, and I'll explain why here, because we also know that there is no sign that JJ or Tylee were ever seen with Lori when she flew to Kauai. So that specific detail there. There was also a photo of this here while they were flying into Hawaii. Again, no sign of the children. It's mentioned in the affidavit right here that they're not seen. So the next part along with that in Hawaii, the next red flag that I want to mention though, is that the children never checked in with them at the beach resort. Now, as I mentioned before in another video, we know that detectives actually conducted surveillance throughout this case in different locations. And again, they're still stacking this evidence no sign of children. They're going to the beach, they're checking in, no children, no sign of children, period, in Hawaii. So just wanted to mention those specific details about that was mentioned in the affidavit. Now, the next one that I want to cover here, moving along here, again, a little bit longer video, and I think it's important to get some of this information from the affidavit, though, with all the information going on with this case. So we've got that. The next one I want to mention here is so that's number 18 and 19. Red flag number 20 is going to be number 31 of the affidavit. Okay, really, really important here. So here's what we know here. Again, this talks about the surveillance that was performed in Hawaii. Again, no sign of the children. So right here, though, December 20th, 2019, Rexburg Police and the FBI published a press release, okay? And they were asking for the public's help in finding the children. Well, what's interesting about that is law enforcement never received a tip, let alone a phone call, text message, anything, social media from Lori or Chad. Just no information. Didn't want to provide information. Just showed to them that they just didn't care, and it shows with the information we've been hearing about in this case. So, we know from those photos or from the press conference, you've got the grandparents offering $20,000 reward. They obviously want the children back. They're concerned for them. Why isn't Lori putting up any money or even giving a statement about where they're at or where they could be? Huge red flags. What do you guys think about that aspect of the case? Now, next one I want to mention here is the babysitter. Okay, this is interesting. This was number 21, red flag 21 here, and this is in number 32 of the affidavit here. Now, we know that Lori went to a place called care.com, and if you guys are wondering, you can go online. People can hire caregivers or babysitters. She goes on there, hires a babysitter. Babysitter actually speaks with Lori, and they make this arrangement. The babysitter thinks that this is going to be an ongoing situation. She thinks that she's going to be babysitting JJ, several times. Well, after the first time, now this is where we go back into the affidavit. She watched JJ on September 19th, 2019, and this babysitter actually told detectives that. And then what's strange is all of a sudden on September 24th, 2019, she reaches out to Lori, and Lori says that JJ's all of a sudden with the grandmother for several weeks and that the babysitter services were no longer needed. So she's kind of shocked almost, thinking she had this gig for some time, and Lori cuts it off. So another lie right there, and another red flag. So next red flag I want to mention, we're almost done here, by the way, not too many more, but these are really important red flags as I go through the affidavit. Next big one is the court order. This is number 33 of the affidavit. Now this is important. I'm going to talk about this a little bit. So on January 16th, 2020, there's this child protection action because the court wants to know where the children are. They want to see sign that they're alive and well and that they're cared for. So they order Lori to produce the children within 5 days of service to show investigators that they are healthy and that they're well. Well, she served that paperwork on Saturday, January 25th, 2020. And that's interesting to know. And I want to talk about that because some people don't understand the whole serving aspect of it. A lot of times, and there's different rules in different areas, but in most places, if you are going to be served a document, you have to be physically served that document. And there are cases where you've got people, trying to avoid civil court and things like that, and you've got process servers or detectives, the sheriff's office trying to serve the paperwork to inform these people, hey, you've got a court date. You are mandated to go to court, or you're mandated to complete this action, or else there's consequences. You could be arrested. You could be cited. I mean, depending on the severity of the paperwork that you're being served and the case involved. So anyway, what I'm getting at is if they're avoiding being served, then technically, they don't have to provide the children right away. But anyway, they're physically served the paperwork, so they're well aware that, hey, we need to show these investigators where the children are. So Investigators are doing surveillance during this time. 5 days pass, no sign of the children again, no effort by Lori to call, to explain the situation, and to this day, we still don't know where the children are. So that's a huge red flag. That's one of the bigger ones out of this entire case is she's being served paperwork. And this is what ultimately leads to her arrest. I mean, she's arrested because of not providing for her children. She essentially abandoned her children. These are felony charges. There's other charges on top of that, but that's a huge charge, and that's what allowed investigators to then swoop in and arrest her while they're still investigating. They're still going to continue to investigate, is it just a missing child case? Is it a murder? But they're going to continue to investigate. Now that we have Lori in custody, that this is where more of the pieces start falling in. So I just wanted to touch up on that. Really important. Now, the next one I want to mention, this is kind of a small one that goes along with it, but in number 35 of the affidavit, they are seen at the beach and this is after they've been served the paperwork. They haven't provided any information that the children are alive and well. They go to the beach. They're bringing their towels, flip-flops, laying out at the beach, having a good time. What does that tell you guys? I mean, they just don't care, okay? So that's just another little tiny detail that really shows us that these people are most likely guilty of something. Again, innocent until proven guilty, but there's just so many facts against them in this case to not ignore. So, to ignore. So, anyway, the next one I want to point out here as we go through is the search warrant. Okay, now this is when investigators serve a search warrant at the home in Hawaii where Lori and Chad were staying. So they find birth certificate, transaction card. We're going to talk about that here, number 36. So this is birth certificates for Tylee and JJ were found at the home in Hawaii. Children, again, not there. Makes you wonder, okay? And then we're talking about Tylee's financial transaction card was also found. They're finding JJ's iPad. They're finding school registration receipts. All this information that would tell somebody, hey, the children might need some of this information, or they might need this. Why does Lori and Chad have it in Hawaii, and there's no sign of the children even being in Hawaii? And it just really strange. So that's a huge piece of evidence right there. It doesn't seem like it, but it's absolutely massive. Now, along with those that same information there that I want to mention here, when investigators were looking through the home, they document all these things that they're observing in each room. They don't find sign of children in any of the rooms. I mean, they're in the garage, nothing. There's no children's toys, games, children's clothing, nothing. It's all adult material there, that we're looking at in this home. So that's another big red flag right there that I want to point out. So again, we're almost done with this, and I want to point out the next one here. So again, they're talking about, there's no children's clothing, toys, no children's medication, nothing. Okay, so next big one I want to mention here is, we're getting close to the end here, just a couple more. Number 26, red flag number 26. This is the service dog being returned, okay? Another big one here. So if you guys remember, JJ had a service dog that was with him. I mean, JJ suffers from autism, and this service dog can help him cope with that situation and just kind of help calm him down, because he's known to have anxiety and things like that. Took medication for different things, which we can talk about another time. But I want to talk about in the affidavit here where it actually discusses it. And let me see where it actually mentions that real quick, or what number that was. So that was at number 39 of the affidavit. I went a little too far up. So there's this. So if you guys remember, the dog's name's Bailey, and he was trained by Dog Training Elite. This is on July 22nd, okay, in Arizona. So there's an email that Lori's basically, looking to find another family for Bailey, which is JJ's service dog, due to changes in life circumstances. And so the dog gets picked up on August 30th, 2019. All right. This is in August, shortly before September, when we know that JJ was no longer seen or heard of from again. So this to me almost suggests premeditation, in the fact that this dog, there's no reason for JJ to get rid of this dog. I mean, this is a dog that he's bonding with, and all of a sudden Lori's taking this dog away. Why? I mean, what is really going on? Why? Even the trainer that was interviewed was wondering the same thing. Why is the dog being returned? So really strange fact there that I wanted to let you guys know about. A couple more here and we're done. Red flag number 27. This is in number 40. This is a comment made. And this is a tiny comment, but it's a huge comment. This is when, so you've got Chad Daybell's parents were interviewed. They informed detectives that Chad and Lori told them in November of 2019 that Lori Vallow was an empty nester. Wow, that is a huge, huge comment right there. And that suggests that she no longer has children. Again, makes you wonder everything's adding up. What do you guys think about that comment? I know you guys have probably heard that before, the empty nester comment. The next one I want to mention, the next red flag, is the sister of deceased Tammy Daybell. Again, another weird situation there, and I've got another video talking about that, where Chad's wife was killed, and supposedly peacefully, but investigators have opened up that case. They're still investigating that, and hopefully we get more information about that case. But anyway, so Samantha's interviewed, and she says that she was informed that Lori had no juvenile children. So a little strange. No juvenile children, huh? Okay, so there's another lie right there. Another red flag. Next one I want to talk about. So there's only one more. This is the last one, you guys. If you guys have made it to the end here, I appreciate you watching this far. This is really good information, and hopefully it's not dry to anybody. Hopefully you guys really enjoy it. And, I don't always do videos like this, but I know some people really appreciate these. So the last red flag I want to mention, no financial info that is associated with the care of the children. So they talk about this in 43, and I just want to mention it real quick, that they go through all of Lori Vallow's bank and financial information, right? There is no evidence that would suggest that Lori provided money to anyone to care for JJ and Tylee. Another strange thing, because, okay, some people might be wondering, okay, if they're not caring for them, maybe there's some other family member or somebody that's caring for the children. They go through all these bank records, all these records, and they don't find anything that suggests that Lori's putting money somewhere or continuing to provide care for these children. So that doesn't seem like a big thing, but that is a huge red flag right there. And that's why when I cover the affidavit, these are the reasons that lead to her arrest. And that's why I'm covering this information. There's a lot of information out there, other aspects we can talk about. Like I said, I've talked about the religious, spiritual aspects of it, and there's more information on that I've just learned that we'll get into in another video. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you guys found this information helpful.